Hi guys, let's start analyzing extensive form games. So here's one very simple example. So there are two players. The first player is first choosing to stay, sort of enter or get in or out. So these are two firms, let's suppose. And player one or firm one is a player who, or the investor who is sort of planning to enter to this new market. And there's already an operating firm in this market, player two, the incumbent firm. And obviously the incumbent firm is monopolist currently and doesn't want a competition. So what happens is that the player one or the firm one is first decides to whether enter this firm in this market or stay out of it. If firm one stays out of it, well, its profit is going to be zero from this market. And then the second firm will enjoy the monopoly profit 40, let's say. However, if firm one enters to this market, well, firm two would like to get rid of the competitor, the new competitor, and so can start a price war, which is actually a terrible outcome for both of them because it leads to minus 10 profits or loss. Or alternatively, firm two can say, well, okay, let's compete in this market, but then they kind of share the profits, 20/20 payoffs. All right. So the question is, what's going to be the optimal strategy for player one? Is it going to enter or stay out of this market? And what's going to be the optimal strategy for player two? Well, how do we analyze this extensive form game? We already know how to transform it to a normal form format, right? Or sort of a one-shot format. Although this is an extensive form game, we know that this game can be transferred into this normal form. So player one has two strategies, in or stay out, and player two has two strategies. For simplicity, I denoted P for price war and A for accommodate. All right, well, what is the solution concept that we know? Well, we know that rationalizability is one very appealing concept. Nash Equilibrium is another stronger concept. Actually, Nash Equilibrium is even better than rationalizability because all Nash Equilibrium strategy profiles are also consist of rationalizable strategies. All right, so let's look at the Nash Equilibrium strategies of this game. Well, let's focus on the pure strategies. So here, if the firm one stays in or decides to get in, well, the best response is to accommodate, right? And if it stays out, well, the best response. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing the wrong. So if firm one is staying in, the best response is accommodate. If it stays out, the best response is both price war and accommodate. It actually doesn't matter because the game will be over. Well, if however firm two starts a price war, well, the best response is clearly staying out, and if it accommodates, clearly the best response is getting into this market. So that means there are two Nash Equilibrium of this game. One of them is firm one enters and firm two accommodates with a payoff 20/20. And then the other Nash Equilibrium is that firm one stays out of this market, so it doesn't get into the market and so doesn't really start a competition. And firm two starts a price war if ever firm one sort of decides to enter. So obviously here the strategy of the second player is null because by staying out, firm one is actually finishing the game. But here, what makes this strategy profile Nash Equilibrium is the fear that the player two is actually going to start price war, right? So remember the concept of Nash Equilibrium. Each player best responds his or her opponent. So here, as player one, staying out is the best response for me because I believe that my opponent is actually going to start a price war, in which case I'm going to get minus 10 payoff. So for that reason, my best response is to stay out. All right. Sorry. Well, symmetrically, starting a price war is the best response to sort of staying out. Why is that? Well, because my opponent, player one, I mean, is going to stay out. This is what I believe him to do. Well, then that means whether I start a price war or not doesn't really matter. My payoff is going to be zero anyway. I'm sorry. As a second player, my payoff is going to be 40 anyway. And so price war is the best response. Accommodate is also best response. So I am playing a best response. So each player is playing a best response, and hence this is a Nash equilibrium. Well, this is also Nash equilibrium, but I'm not going to argue about it much, partly because out of these two Nash equilibria, the one that makes most sense is basically this one, right? Enter, so the firm one ends, and then firm two accommodates. However, this Nash equilibrium is not really appealing in this framework. Why not? Well, here, once again, the thing that makes this strategy regret-free or stable or best response for each player is the fear, the player one's fear that the second guy will actually start a price war. But hey, look, that's normal if you kind of think that this game is a static one-shot game, meaning each player, right, in a one-shot game, this is, they play the game and it's over. So they choose their strategies and then things are over. Afterwards, there's no afterwards, but once you choose your strategy, you cannot change your strategy, right? That's the idea of one-shot simultaneous move game. You choose your strategy, you sort of commit to this strategy. You can't change it. You're not allowed to change it. You don't have time to change it. And so, once the other guy also selects his or her strategy, well, then the payoffs will be realized. So therefore, in this environment, that type of strategy profile makes sense as an equilibrium, Nash equilibrium. But don't forget, this is not a sort of a one-shot game. The players here, at the beginning of the game, before player one moves, right? You can think of that the players do choose their strategies, all right? But the thing is, after player one moved, player two has the opportunity to revise his strategy, right? He can say, hey, you know what? I actually selected to price war, but actually my opponent, for some reason, he was brave enough or crazy enough, he decided to enter anyway. And so here I am. Am I gonna, go with price war and suffer -10 payoff? Or am I going to peacefully accept this behavior and instead receive 20 payoff? Well, remember, we assume that all emotional feelings like hate or envy, whatever, all of those feelings are already incorporated in these payoffs. And players are rational in the sense that they choose their strategies just to maximize their own payoffs. All right, so that means the player two, even though he decided his strategy before player one has, selected his options, well, he can actually revise. If he's a rational guy, he should actually revise and say, you know what? If my opponent selected in, I should definitely accommodate him because 20 is much better for me than -10. And so, choosing price war is not really optimal. Before we start the game, committing to this strategy, I'm going to start a price war, so don't enter. It's sort of a threat. So committing to this threat is a nice thing because I can guarantee, as player two, I can guarantee 40 payoff by basically pushing player one out of the market. But the thing is, do I really have this commitment power? Everybody knows that this is an extensive form game. I am going to observe the first player's strategy and I will have the option of revising my strategy. And as a rational guy, I know I will definitely accommodate him instead of, starting a price war. So therefore, this price war strategy is what we call non-credible threat. All right, so it's a threat, but it's non-credible in a extensive or in a dynamic environment. So here's what, so for that reason, in an extensive form game where commitments are not possible, I'm going to talk about what we mean or what I mean by commitments. So in an extensive form game where commitments are not possible, sort of playing this strategy or non-credible threat strategies is not rational, all right? And unfortunately, the concept of Nash equilibrium does not ignore or does not eliminate such strategy profiles. And so it gives us them as a Nash equilibrium. So therefore, we need to revise our concept, solution concept, the Nash equilibrium solution concept, and make it more appropriate for extensive form games. So this is what we're going to talk about next. I want to say a few things about commitment. So sometimes external commitment, some players actually prefer to find out external commitment devices. In a game like this, for example, let's suppose player 2 is the CEO of this company and he writes a contract with the owner of the company who can kick out the CEO and replace him with another CEO. So he writes a contract and says, I'm going to start a price war, and therefore we may actually suffer negative, some losses if our opponent enters, all right? So this is some sort of a contract. And for some reason, let's suppose the owner of firm 2 has different preferences, and so he accepts this contract, right? And he says, well, if you do not follow this contract, I'm gonna kick you out. I'm going to fire you. You see what I mean? So if player 2 then has some sort of commitment device, external maybe, but some commitment device which forces him to play price war or that sort of non-credible threat strategies, well then it may make sense that these type of outcomes can be supported as an equilibrium outcome even though it's an extensive form game. But once again, in our games, we assume that, the game is just given as there's player 1, player 2, these are the strategies. So we never mention about commitment strategies. There's an opportunity to commit, or there's an opportunity to write some external contract. So if all these things are out of the picture, that means player 1 or player 2 cannot commit to their strategies, which means at every time they are supposed to make a decision, they can revise their strategies, and hence they must choose optimally. So next we are going to talk about sequential rationality, and that concept is actually incorporating this idea of revising strategy every time players are choosing or sort of making a choice, making a move.